Okay, hi everybody again. So it's gonna be a long day today, so I decided to start on my stories, I guess, of different things that have happened on the trail. So I'm going to be talking about some of the most embarrassing things that have happened to me while on the trail, or most uncomfortable. I don't get embarrassed real easy. So a lot of times I just may feel a little uncomfortable, but there have been a few times where I've been embarrassed. And I'm not going to remember all of them like right now, so I'll do a few, and then the ones that come to my mind later, I'll edit them in. But so one of the ones that comes to my mind when I first got on trail. So I'll say this. Before, I could try to watch that and keep it, but I don't make it go down some. So I got a little hair hanging out of my top of my head. Okay, so before I got on trail, I was practicing with something. So this something it's called a tinkle bell, and what it is it's a thing for women where you don't have to squat to pee. You know, I don't know about you women out there, but I don't particularly enjoy dropping my pants with a sideways smile, smiling at everybody every time I got to pee. So, so this has been like, I don't know if it's a new thing, but for women that, you know, are backpacking, it comes in real handy. But there's all different types, but the type that I got is called a tinkle bell, and you can use it to where you're standing up. You don't have to, you know, drop your pants and all that. You can stand up and pee. So it's kind of like, well, some of them are like funnels, but the one I have is not really a funnel. It's, I guess you could call it half of a funnel. But anyway, so it just helps the urine go down the tube. It's not really a tube, but I can't explain it to you. But anyway, so the main thing is I don't have to squat to pee. So I was practicing, you know, before coming on the trail, and it was fun. It was just really weird. But so when I got on trail, and this was earlier on the trail, probably like a month into it, and sometimes I would still squat, and sometimes I would use this thing because I really wasn't used to it. And I had found a place after climbing up this hill. I had to go bathroom real bad, right? So I found a place to do it, and so I, you know, got it ready, and I started relieving myself and peed all in my pants. But luckily I had some black hiking shorts that, for one, they dry real fast, and for another, you can't even tell anything happened. Thank goodness. But I could feel the coolness, you know, hiking around in them. So that was one thing. I think that was the first thing that I got embarrassed about. But even though I got embarrassed, it really wouldn't even need to because nobody knew about it. But I just thought, oh my goodness. But while it was happening, I was like, oh my goodness, no. But it was too late. So, all right, I gotta drop this for a second. Be right back. Stop the video because this is what I'm dealing with right now. Trying to figure out a way to go around it without having to go through it. Ugh. I'll go up this way. All right. Okay, I got around that mud and water. So, I was thinking about the first time I received trail magic, was when there was a few guys hanging out at this tent or whatever, and I've been talking to the thru hikers. They had thru hiked themselves before. And anyway, they called me over and gave me a soda, and I took it and drank it. So that was the trail magic, was a soda. Talked to them for a while. It was a real good talk. Now, At the beginning of my hike, my backpack was so heavy, like it weighed between 40 and 45 pounds. But you know, I thought, well, I needed everything that was in there. So I just thought, well, I'll deal with it. And so I told them bye and started on my merry way. Tripped over a root and went straight down. And it was the kind of thing where I was down on the ground. My backpack weighed so much that it had me all the way down, and it was sticking up. My butt was sticking up, and I had to roll over on my back just to pick myself up. So that was pretty embarrassing. Oh, I look back on it and crack myself up. All right, so that was another time. Then, but I have fallen many times since then. I don't get embarrassed anymore. I just go with the flow and fall. I got to where like I could, when I'm on my way down, I can dodge things that might impale me. And then I can flip real quick a lot of times and land on my backpack where it's a soft landing. It's pretty sad when you get professional like that. But I'm telling you, man, these roots, they'll just come out and grab you. They'll grab your foot and hold on to it. And you're in your moving forward and grabs your foot, and your force is still moving forward, and you can't move your foot, and you're down. Especially when you got a backpack like mine. But I've gotten really good about keeping my weight down on my backpack, so I'm real proud about that. And I don't have my fanny pack anymore either. So I've cut down a lot of weight. Literally in that way. Okay, so another time, no, most of these are going to be just what the human body does. And because that's really the only thing I get, you know, I mean, I'm comfortable with. Everybody does. But anyway, and don't act like you ain't done it, because I'm sure you're sitting there at your house and you're probably doing it too. So this particular time, this was bad. Oh my goodness. So when you're on the trail, or new on the trail, you know, most people's diet changes. And mine did. And so I was eating a lot of stuff that I had dehydrated, and then I was eating some of those freeze-dried meals that you can buy, and eating oatmeal on a daily basis. Gotta move this. And so, needless to say, I had some bowel changes too. So one morning, now this is when SpongeBob and I were already hiking together, and so one morning, it was probably about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, because we were going to get out early that day. So we had a long day, and I needed some toilet paper because I was running out, right? But it hit me real quick. I had to use the bathroom, and so I ran over to his tent. I said, SpongeBob, you got some toilet paper over there? He goes, yeah. So while he was getting it, I saw my body would not wait on me, so I was yelling at him. I said, he's coming already, he's coming. And yep, people, it was bad. So, it was bad. It was sad, and it was bad. But and it was still dark outside. So I still had to go find a tree. And I was creeping to the tree because, you know, it was an uncomfortable feeling, and I was just so mad. But there's another part of this story too. So there's a guy. Yeah, let me pause this for a second. Okay, so there's a guy that had put up his tent before we got to. This is just like a stealth camping site, and there's a few flat ground. A few places that were flat that you could put up a tent. This guy got there before we did, and so he was already tented, and he had let us know that he had been there a few days because he had been sick. So we kind of tented away from him because the norovirus goes around pretty quick, and that's what he had. So we had stayed a pretty good distance away from him, but he could still hear, you know. So I'm sure he heard all that commotion. He was in his tent, heard me yelling, "It's coming, it's coming." But so anyway, like I said, it was dark. I had to wear my headlamp to go find a tree, to dig a cat hole, and change everything. And of course, I threw all that stuff away. That was bad. And I'd heard on a YouTube channel before I even left for the trail, you know, this guy, his name is Kyle Hates Hiking. It's his YouTube channel. And he said it, and he was right on. He said, "And I will say this, not many say this." He said, "But you will poop your pants." He didn't use the term poop, but he said, "You will poop your pants." And I sure did, man. So now I'm not going to talk about anybody else that I hiked with or anything like that, or anybody else on the trail. This is just my stuff, my story. So anyway, so that was another one. And then another one is so I had gotten, I guess, I don't know if it was the norovirus. Somebody told me that it sounded like it probably was, but and this was after SpongeBob had to get off trail, and so I was by myself, and you know, I was sad that, you know, he had to go, and so because we had hiked together like 800 miles almost, and so I was feeling bad emotionally already, and then lonely, you know, and then I got sick. I was at a campsite, and I was all by myself, and so at the shelter, and nobody else was there except me. Well, the privy, which is you know, they call it privy, it's like a little outhouse. So the privy was a long hike up. Well, I had gotten, I guess, the norovirus or whatever in the middle of the night, so I had to keep going to that privy. Well, the privy had a like a farmhouse 2-door, like the top part would open and the bottom part would open. So they had it to where the bottom part was closed, and you could close the top part if you wanted to. But I had to get some air, so when I was sitting on the toilet part of it, the seat, you know, that thing was open, and I had my lamp on, so I was attracting bugs. So I was getting hit in the face with bugs, you know, big moths and stuff, while I was, you know, doing my thing, and it was horrible. So that was uncomfortable. I wasn't embarrassed because there wasn't nobody there to be embarrassed about, but it was very uncomfortable. And I was miserable, you know. I was lonely and getting bugs in my face while I'm being sick. So I was miserable. And so then the next day, and I had to, you know, do that multiple times during the night, and the hike was up. It was up a hill just to get to the privy, so it was just a miserable night. And so then the next day, I had not too far of a hike to make it to this town, because I was going to go to a motel and just nurse myself back to health, you know. And so, when I was on trail the next day, I had thrown up. So I was hiking, and then I got so sick, and I leaned over and vomited, and I heard some guys coming. So I just, you know, took this thing and I wiped my face real good. In my eyes, I knew they were bloodshot and tears rolling down from, you know, from throwing up so much. And I wasn't crying. They were just, you know, because I'm straining so much from that anyway. But when they walked by, I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" Just having gone through all that, you know, and Hi, how you doing? And my mouth probably. Anyway, I don't have to get into the deep things. But I was embarrassed at that time. So I'm like, them dudes know that something was up. So anyway. So that was another time. And I tell you, when I got to the motel, that was one of those times I was talking about that. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. But I was feeling so miserable and so sad, and at the same time, and just missing my family and just everything. And so I'm like, I'm done. And so that's one of the times I had to talk with 3 people. And plus, when I started feeling better, I was like, oh, thank goodness I didn't quit. But I was really, really sick. So, okay, so that was that. And then, recently what comes to mind is, sorry. So I'm using my Tinkle Bell again. And this was just like a few weeks ago. So I've gotten real good at the Tinkle Bell. And so I was using the bathroom. And usually I'm real good at being able to, do it in a time where nobody's coming. Hide in a good place where nobody could see. But all of a sudden I hear this person coming, or these 2 people coming. And I was right in midstream, right? And I couldn't shut it off. But they were coming up on me. So I pulled the Tinkle Bell out and went all over myself. And another, that was another time, when, oh my goodness, I just went right in the mud. There was another time when, that was another time when people walked by and I got up real quick, and I'm sure I was still going on even on myself. And I was like, hey, how you doing? So that was embarrassing, even though they didn't even know. Because I have my dark pants on again, thank goodness. All right, I'll get back to this later. All right, I'm back. So another time is there's a state, I can't remember which state it was, but they had the smallest privies you could ever see, and they were so tiny, like your knees would hit the door when you sat down on the seat. And some of the taller people, if they were to stand up all the way, you could see their bottom just shining. I never saw that, but I'm saying if it was somebody tall, that would happen. So I'm sure they had to squat, but it also had a 360 view, where when you were sitting down, you can look out and see all around. You can see, what everybody was doing or whatever. And so, this girl was talking about how, you could sit down and do a crossword puzzle. Somebody walked by and said, hey, do you know a word for it? That's literally what it was like. So every time I used, the privies like that, it was very uncomfortable. But nobody paid no mind. I mean, they didn't sit there and stare. They didn't even look. People were pretty respectful on the trail. So, what else? I thought of another one, but I don't know. I'll think of some more as I go along, and when I do, I'll share it. But like I said, most of it was, it's just about, what's an actual function of your body, but it's just in not the best places at the time, or best happenings at the time. So if you're thinking about doing the Appalachian Trail, just know there's going to be struggles like that. Like initially, like I started in March, which was March the 7th, which was still officially winter, right? Like I said the other day, I have spent every season on the AT this year. Currently in the fall, so I've done winter, spring, summer, and now fall. But so it was winter, and so most of the leaves hadn't come back on the trees yet. So it was so hard to find a place. You know, they say, and it's only natural. I mean, you got to find a place to, you know, use the restroom. So you dig your cat hole. It's got to be 6 to 8 inches deep. But it's hard to find a place where nobody can see you. So a lot of times you can't find a place, so you gotta hold it for a long time. And you don't have to, but most people do. So just be prepared for that. And but you figure it out along the way. And so there's gonna be times when you're uncomfortable. But was it worth it to me? Yeah. Yes. 5,000 times yes. It was hard, but yeah, it's been worth it. All right, so I'll get back to that in a little bit. All right. Okay, so another one that comes to mind. So I was with GMG. We were still in Maine. I think we were fixing to be in Vermont, but so we were going up a mountain. I let her go ahead because, of course, I had to go to the restroom, and so I went in all this brush and hid between some trees. Look right, and I looked left, and looked over my shoulder. I didn't see anybody, so it was a good time. So to go ahead and go. So I squatted down and was doing my thing, and all of a sudden I heard, "Hey!" And I looked, "Hey!" It's coming from behind me. So I was still on, squatting. I turned all the way around, and it's GMG. And she says, "When you get up here, the trail goes left, so make sure you go left." So, yeah, that was kind of awkward. I was like, okay.